Okay, let's see. It says we're live. Let's hush that up. Okay. Hey, y'all, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and it says I'm streaming. So this time, hopefully, the computer won't lock up again. That means I lost all of my notes. Oh, man. No, I don't think so. Let's see. Well, we're going to check and see. Maybe it'll bring them up. Let's see here. Restore. And it's, no, not that one. Let's do this one. Let's see if we can restore this one. Whoops. What's going on here? Let's restore these pages. Computer crashed. Okay, yeah, I was able to restore these. All right, let's close this one then. Get rid of some background information. Even though the CPU isn't struggling, at least it says it's not. All right, sorry about that, guys. Okay, well, I lost all the attendees. Maybe they'll come back. The computer locked up, crashed me out. That's the way it works. Bass Angler said, hi, boss lady. Hello. They might can even hear you. I don't know how good this mic picks up over there. Tell them I said hello. She said hello just in case you can't hear her. Ah, Jim's back. Yeah. Okay, Jim. Yes, Jim, I'll do that. I got it pulled back up. I shut down a bunch of background processes that when I rebooted, they won't be running. Maybe that won't cause the conflict and cause it to crash again. Let's see. Oh, he says they can hear you. So, Woody, how you doing? Is it Friday night in Alabama? No, it's Thursday night in Georgia. We were supposed to attend a wedding tonight, but things happened and we weren't able to leave on time. So here I'm going to do a stream instead. It's the way it is. Sometimes you can do things, sometimes you can't. Okay. Ray says, time to build a new computer. Yeah, I know. I am so understanding that. Let's see here. Yeah, this still works. Okay, now we're back to what I was talking about. I'll circle back around to those other things and get them on this stream so I can have it all in one before it's over with. I'm going to restart where I was at here. This program's called Exposure 7.0. They make it, it's Exposure 6, Exposure 7. Aaron's the one that turned me on to this a couple years ago. This is great software in my book. You buy it, you don't have to pay a subscription. That's what I really like about it more than anything. If I was editing large batches of images for a living or, kind of like Ray does where he's doing his stuff, then I would probably be using Adobe products just because of how efficient and easy it is to use them. But this works just fine for what little I do. Now, like I was saying earlier, before I got rudely interrupted by the crashing computer, this is the image straight out of camera. And it's a little bit flat. I underexposed it a couple of stops, probably at least one stop underexposed it. I would have to go into the file explorer to check and see exactly, but it's underexposed on purpose. And that way the neon won't be blown out. If we look in, you can kind of see that the neon has color somewhat. So since there was some color there, we do our basic edits, which does the color temperature. I cooled it off some. It was wanting to make this building super yellow. The exposure and stuff I didn't mess with. I did pull the highlights back some. I took the whites all the way down. I adjusted the dynamic contrast and the haze, and I slid up the clarity, and I maxed out the saturation. So without that, that's what it looks like. Because what I wanted was the color splash. Sierra joked when she saw it on the camera and said it looks like Jolly Ranchers. And that was kind of the goal after that, was to just turn this into what looks like candy. Let's see here. So after I'd done the basic color adjustments, I've done a little bit of sharpening. As you can see, it's not much. Actually, the sharpening isn't added any at all. I didn't do any sharpening. It was on. Apparently it was on by default and I didn't realize it. So I just selected it. But the next thing I done was noise reduction. Let me turn this off and show you. If we zoom in, get over this window, you can see the ISO noise all over this. You can see it's got color noise and everything. So I just added some noise reduction. Now, what you thought was color noise in this reflection is actually neon. So Some of it's probably color noise, but it's mostly neon light reflecting. Then the next thing I done was I went to the color tab, and as I was saying in the other stream before it crashed, I watched Heather Boyd make a edit one time, and she got super crazy with the color section. Now, if I turn this off, it doesn't look real pronounced, but what I've done was I pulled the yellow over to orange, and it just makes the building like accentuate the Palace logo and this light. It wants to look better in my book. I mean, some people may not like it, but I really like the way that brought it out. And if you come down here and look, you can see that I saturated the blues super heavy so that the neon would show up better. I saturated the oranges a little more. I pulled up here in the hue, between the yellow and the red, I pulled the yellows back toward orange some, and that's how come that turned it orange. Oh, excuse me. And that was the color adjustments. Now, if I come up here and click before, you can see that it's kind of flat, and there's some color there, but once you add the color to the image, it really starts to jump off the screen at you. But yes, yeah, Jim, this software you buy it directly from them, and I think it's like $80 one time, and I don't remember if they gave me the 7.0 upgrade or if I had to buy it for a small fee. Like maybe they charge you a subsidized price since you had the Gen 6 version, because I had 6.0 as well. And 6 worked good, but 7 works so much better. It actually, the biggest things that I noticed that worked so much better was the clarity works more like the one in Lightroom. To me, it kind of mimics it now. But you have this layering function, and that's where all the super magic comes in. You can come in here and add a layer and then mask off that layer. And then if you come down here, show the mask. If I invert it, then I can come up here to the paintbrush and just say I want just the side of this car to be exposed a little more. Well, then let's just brighten that one area. Then I pick my layer, add a little exposure to the side of the car, and now the car shows up better. You know, you can do things like that with this, and it works so easy. It's so easy to do. You can see there it is without it. And that you've seen how long I spent doing that. It's pretty cool to be able to add that functionality. And you can stack as many of these layers as you want. You can do micro adjustments all over the image, and each one, and you come in and tell it, name it all, so you can make it's really cool. I really like it. But now, that was something I wanted to share with you guys, was how did I arrive at this super saturated, really colorful, really good, in my book, edit of this image. To each his own, but I really like the way this photo turned out. I'm going to jump back over to me now and pull up some notes here. All right. Scroll all the way up because it pulled up all the tabs. All right. There's more Nikon news coming your way. I was looking around the interwebs, and I happened to notice. So it's just an $80 annual fee. No, it's an $80 one-time fee, not annual. You pay it, you buy it. So it's not a subscription base. And they give you updates along the way. Matter of fact, let's just take a quick gander. Let me just bring you back over here. If we come over here to help, check for updates. You have the latest version of exposure. And what it'll do is, if there is an update to the firmware to make it work better, it'll be here, and you can click update and it'll download and install it right there. But yeah, you just buy it once. I think it's 80, somewhere in that neighborhood, 80 or 90. It's less than $100 if I remember right. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's how much it costed. I've bought 2 or 3 pieces of software over the last couple of years. One was for image stacking, that PTI GUI or PTU GUI or whatever it is, to do stitch panos and things. Because I wanted one that had a better stitching algorithm than what I was using. I don't even remember what I was using now, but the algorithm in that one works really well. Occasionally it'll make a mistake, but almost never. Let's see here. Find my notes again. Oh, I was talking about the Nikon Z9 had a firmware update come out, and everybody was speculating that they was going to get the kitty cat shutter sound. And unfortunately, Ray can correct me here, but I don't think it was in there this time. And I was also saying, it shouldn't be too hard of a job to allow you to put maybe MP4 files on a memory card and upload them to the camera, and maybe have room in memory for 2 or 3 of your own custom MP3 files, to where you could put your own sound in there. Maybe you wanted it to sound like a car revving up. Maybe you want it to sound like someone slamming a garbage can lid. Anything. You could, any kind of a bell ringing. If you just wanted to get whatever you wanted, they should make it to where you could do that, because you can get the firmware into the camera with a memory card. Then you should also be able to upload audio files. Simple MP3 files shouldn't be a big problem. No more memory and processing power it would take to do that. And you could even cap it. Say it's only a 20 kilobyte MP3, or, I don't know, whatever it takes to make a simple shutter sound. Doesn't take much. But I think that would be awesome. And at this point, it would surprise me greatly if all of their cameras going forward aren't mirrorless with shutterless. It's just the way it's going to be. C2C Disciple says, or a voice saying, "Pay me." That may be a well, they call that paywall feature. That's a possibility. You could do the paywall on that. If you wanted to, if you had Nikon Professional Services, they give you a code, and it unlocks all of these other things in the camera, and that being one of them. I mean, that wouldn't be too unreasonable. Be kind of a bummer for the average Joe that doesn't, have MPS, on hand. But it'd be cool. Another thing in the news, let me just jump over here and show you this. This article on digital camera talking about a full frame Nikon ZFC Big Brother could be on the way, because when asked about it, Oishi actually said as soon as they launched the ZFC, a lot of people were clamoring for an equivalent with a full frame sensor. Of course, we can't go into details about upcoming products, but we hear these requests, and we think about this type of product that could fully meet them. Now, I'm about to scroll down and show you something else. This is not the first time they've made a full frame. Right here, they made the Nikon, there it is right there. They made the Nikon DF several years ago. Of course, it was not mirrorless. It was a DSLR, but the DF was their retro version of a full frame camera. And they're wonderful cameras from what I understand. They just have shutters in them. But you could get, with the aesthetics of the ZFC, and you could put IBIS in it. You could put the Z6 or Z7 IBIS module in it. That would be sweet. A retro camera with IBIS. That has my attention. Because the only thing that I don't like about the Z50 is that it doesn't have IBIS. After having the IBIS in the Z6, the Z50 is a little bit frustrating to use because you get shutter movement. You get camera shake. Even in these photos, you can see it when you look. It's just there. Fortunately, the little kit lens has stabilization in it. It has image stabilization. I'm pretty sure it's up there. I'd have to get it down and check, but I think it does. Oh, he said they thought they patented a 1,000 millimeter f8. Is that a phase Fresnel lens? Good Lord, that thing's enormous. My 500's huge. I can just imagine what a 1,000 is going to look like. I bet it is phase Fresnel if it's f8 fixed aperture. That's pretty cool. another article. But I thought this was really cool, was the whole idea about the, yes, phase Fresnel. That is awesome. But I actually thought the ZFC Big Brother would be a real big hit. I think a lot of people would like to have that. Now, another thing that's causing controversy is AI editing in the images. And you can see here in the article, it says, yet another photographer has caused a stir by sharing an AI-generated portrait without saying that it was generated by AI. It's like, man, I mean, in all reality, see here, how can I language this to where it makes sense? Using AI to generate the image isn't very far off from just going into Photoshop and building the image you want from a base layer anyway, if that makes sense. Now, yeah, you are clicking the mouse and you are making the adjustments, not prompting a computer who's doing it for you, but it does basically the same thing, just easier, because you're letting the computer do the work, you know, and you're just typing in prompts to get it to do what you're looking for. But it's, you know, that's not a real person in that photo. It's a created image by a computer. So I don't understand how you would like utilize this without, you know, you're entering a contest. If the contest states that you have to capture the image with your camera and that any edits have to be performed by your hand in software that's designed to do these edits with basic, I mean, you know, they got to set ground rules, but it's pretty cool that the image can get so close to realistic that they're having trouble differentiating. So at what point does it make the camera obsolete? That's a really good question, isn't it? I've thought about that for a while. You know, I'm going to jump back over to me now. The whole idea, no more model releases needed. That's right, Ray. No, you have to get an AI release. What happens is you pay a licensing fee when you use the software. You know, just like when I do Epidemic Sound for my music for my videos, you pay a licensing fee so you can use the image it generates. And that fee won't be a whole lot, I don't think. It may be based on the computing power required to generate your image. Who knows? It's kind of interesting. Because somebody was looking up or did an article about ChatGPT and how much it costs Google to do a web search. And it was just like 3 or 5 cents or something like that. And for ChatGPT to do the same basic web search and to bring you back an information query, it was something like, it was on the order of magnitude like $5 or something. It was significantly more than what Google pays for a standard web search to crawl the web. Once they can get that price down, because, you know, that's going to be the price point that's going to be the problem. To start with, to use an AI search engine, which is coming, all fingers point towards them using AI algorithms to generate chat or to generate search results. That most likely the early days of that will be a paid fee or a paid service. It'll have a paywall. And if you want to use that kind of technology, you'll have to pay for it because it's going to cost too much until the computer power can catch up. It's just the way it is. But, oh, look, Hassan made a comment here. Bass Angler did too. They're getting away from photography. Yeah, that was kind of where I was going with that was, you know, AI is, if you generate the photo in an AI photo generating piece of software, to me, that's akin to using like a digital artwork like Procreate or one of them, you're just using words to generate the base image instead of actually drawing on the screen with a little stylus or clicking with a mouse and building it like I do in GIMP. It's more of a digital art than it is a photo or photography then. So it's, and it generates a photorealistic image, which is kind of interesting. But it does create sort of pseudo-ethical issues, and it's kind of neat to see that, to understand that there's going to be problems caused by a computer making a picture. But yeah, Hassan says for him, photography is about the process of handling the camera and then getting the results afterwards. And for all of us kinesthetics, that's true. Some people like marketing departments and departments in companies that have to generate like maybe image content for their social media, for their web page. They can just go onto these generators and generate the images and eliminate the whole hassle of booking a photographer, booking a model, and all of that. In 5 minutes, they have a file folder full of images for their website, and they're ready to go. It will eliminate that industry. But what it'll do is it'll create another one. Another one will come up from the ashes of that one. They'll be, those people will have a new job is what will happen. They'll do something different. But it's interesting to see that. It really is. I don't see me doing it. I looked at it for a little bit, and I just wasn't super interested in it. I guess I'm too old fashioned. I like to handle the equipment. I like to use the camera to get out there and actually get the photo myself, and then come back and edit it like I showed you guys. Now, the purists will say that, I altered reality when I edited that photo, because, what I got done with is not what I saw with my eye when I took that picture. So, the purist has an argument there. So, at what point do you cross that line? And that's a tough question, but it's interesting to look at. Now I'm going to jump back over to my notes, which are right here. And one of them, let's see here, we got this one. Is, I wonder if there's a specific camera accessory that's not a camera or lens that you take every time you go to the field. The reason I asked that is I got to thinking about stuff I take with me every single time. And sometimes I don't use it, but I always take some things every time. And that's, and I don't count batteries. That's part of the camera. So, you got camera, the memory card is part of the camera in my book. So you got to take, because if you don't take a memory card, you're not going to take pictures. And if you don't take a battery, you're not going to take pictures. So this is a piece of the camera, just like the battery is. So I don't count batteries, memory cards, lenses, or camera bodies. You can say that the camera strap that is on this SL2 is part of the camera or not. You can argue that if you want, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a device that you take with you that isn't a camera that you take when you go take photos. And for me, it's a notebook. I take this notebook every single time I go. Now, let me see. It's got tons of notes in it. And I just write down all this stuff. Like if I see an idea, or if I have some of the stuff in here isn't even photography related, but it seems like, so there's where I wrote my notes about my 35 0.95 review. It's kind of overexposed. I have to move way back here. Get it. There you go. But you can see it's just real coarse notes. Yeah, that gives you the idea. But, it's, this is how I keep up with what's going on in my world. But I got this at Leica Store Miami. I like it. I like the leather. It's just nice. It makes you feel happy about or feel good about writing in it. And I got me a good pen I keep with it. Whoops. I just threw it across the room. It's not a fountain pen, but it is a nice ballpoint. Some custom guy makes them and sells them at Chattanooga Market. I keep it with it. But yeah, like I'll write my video notes about a video I'm about to film. I'll make all of my like scenes or all of my talking points, and then I'll maybe write down my B-roll shot list and make sure I don't forget anything. That way I can, you capture it all. And it's just, or, thoughts on stuff like this. But yeah, this is something I take every single time. And I was wondering what you guys take. Bass Angler says, for me, it's a 45 ACP. You must take photographs in the hard part of town. That's pretty heavy hitter right there. 230 grain ball is a pretty heavy ball. Let's see. Where was my notes? There was somebody that was joking about the ZFC full frame is like, it says, hipster photographers, brace yourself. I thought that's a pretty good one. Let's see. I was looking to see if there was something else I'd missed. No, the most dangerous animal in the woods is humans. Yeah. Sometimes you need more than a 45 for them once they get amped up on something. But yeah. I don't know. That don't surprise me. So now they're threatening tornadoes here is what Teresa just said behind me. Said they're closing the schools tomorrow because there's possibly going to be tornadoes. For joy. Hassan says, I would love a full frame ZFC. Yeah. I would too. That would be cool. Basically, that would be the full frame Fuji X-T3 that I had. That's what it would be. But it would be a Nikon mount, so all my Nikon glass would be native to it. Hassan says, honestly, I'm looking for my forever camera. I'm going to be honest with you. That Panasonic that you got is a pretty good camera. I think you have the S5, don't you? Pretty hot camera, dude. That's a pretty nice machine. I don't remember which one you got, but you had a Panasonic, a nice one. There's a Lumix. I'm watching the chat, seeing when you write in. I don't know what kind of delay we have here. I had another note here. That's not it. I don't remember now. Oh, they had that. That's what it was. He says, I thought about Leica, but I want something small, full frame, interchangeable, and vintage looking. Yes, the Lumix S5. Yeah. Yeah, the Leica SL and SL2 and SL2S, which is actually the one I would recommend people get if they want that body, isn't vintage looking in any way. And their rangefinder cameras, they say, don't make great video cameras. They'll shoot video. The M10 and M11 will shoot video from what I understand, but it's like that camera's not designed for that. It's meant to be shot as a photography camera. So yeah, that Nikon would be the way you'd go then. Yeah. Vintage is not a firm requirement, but small and full frame are. He says are a must. Another thing that come up was this. Jumping tracks. Nikon registered another trademark. This doesn't mean a lot, but it does mean this looks like they're jumping into the video realm is what I see here. That looks like a video camera to me. Now, someone was saying in this article that they might believe that might have something to do with Nikon Creates, which has to do with something to do with video software, video editing software, volumetric content creation and production business. It's possible 360 video camera or extracting stills from video footage. But it's kind of interesting that they registered a different trademark. You know they're not changing their camera logo. That means they're just adding one for a different division. So this is going to be interesting when it comes around. But I think it has to do with their video cameras. It might be the 360 camera. That has promise. Because of the way it's got the full circle arrow and then the camera shining through it. Maybe it is. And I can see where someone would get the idea. Not getting enough oxygen in this room. Teresa's breathing on my air. And I can see where they would get the idea of extracting stills. If you look right here, you can see 3 individuals in the video flow, capturing stills from video. I get that idea too. That kind of makes sense as well. But if you're shooting at the proper frame rate for video, these are going to be blurry. You get motion blur because you run it at 1/60th or 1/48th of a second shutter speed, so that you do get that frame-to-frame motion blur. Extracting stills isn't like gaining you anything, so I ain't real sure about that one. But I could see it being for the 360 cameras or just their video division. Maybe they're gonna jump into the cinema cameras, like Sony makes. I think Canon also makes, they make the C200, C100. They make cinema cameras. Maybe they're about to jump into that pool. Who knows? C2C Disciple says facial recognition, but not in a good way. As much as I wanna not believe you, I'm thinking you're probably right. Hassan says, I tried the Sony A7C, but it was missing too many of my needed functions. Now, could be they are getting more into video, maybe a software tool. Yeah, Hassan agrees basically with me that this is probably either software editing logo or a video cinema camera logo. But yeah. All right, I'm gonna jump back. I'm gonna readdress what Hassan said about choosing a new camera. He's like, he tried the Sony A7C, but he says it was missing too many of the needed functions. Now, I'm still here. Just grabbing some show and tell pieces. When you say needed functions, is it things like shutter speed or maybe the aperture, external controls, or is it something to do with like a function that's not present in the camera? Does that make sense? Like, I got this little Canon point and shoot from a gentleman whose father passed away, had a roll of film in it. I found batteries for it, got it juiced up, it powered up. Fortunately, they were smart enough to take the batteries out. Left a half a roll of exposed film in it, but they took the batteries out so that it wouldn't corrode. So I found batteries, got it powered up, got it rewound, returned the roll of film to the family, and got to keep the camera. This is a neat little camera. Let's see here. Where's the power button? I have to remember how to turn it on. That's the flash. It has a flash. I don't remember. Oh, it's right here. Yeah, there you go. See that? There, it's got a big old long zoom range on it. Zoom out, zoom in. It even has 90, 70, 38 millimeter. And this is a full frame because it's 35 millimeters. So 38 millimeters like a 35. And it says 38 to 135, and it's f3.5 to f8.9 at 135 millimeters. Woo! Yeah. Oh, and the flash comes up regardless. You can't close it. So that's in auto. Let's see here. Does it have, what's S auto do? No. Spot? Nope. My spot metering probably. Then it's got a few scene modes. Nope. Flash stays up. Oh, it closes the flash automatically too. But it's a neat little camera. I'm going to play with it. I'll probably shoot a roll of HP5 in it, see how it looks. Let's see. That's a real camera. This one is. Look how massive this camera is. This is a manual camera. It does have automatic functions to some degree. It's manual focus, manual aperture, because Leica likes that, I guess. But you can have aperture priority, so you set the aperture and it picks the shutter speed. It has manual mode, program mode, where I think you stop the aperture all the way down and it'll select what aperture and shutter speed and build a photo. I think that's how that works. Then it has timer, and then I don't remember what F is. I don't remember. I'll have to look. I have the book to it. But yeah, this is a beast. I mean, look at it. It's huge. To be just it's a pro camera. This was their idea when they decided to design a SLR film camera and quit using Minolta designs, because all the R's up to the R8 were designed by Minolta. And then they decided to do this. This is the R8, and the R9 came after this one. Those are actual German Leica design cameras. All right. Teresa's out, y'all. But yeah, the reason I picked this one over an R5 or an R6 or an R6.2, R6 would be the next choice. No, I didn't want the R7. R7's an electronic version of this, and they're getting long in the tooth. This camera will still shoot manually. The R6 is a full manual SLR camera. They went back to their roots. The R5 and the R6 were the same cameras, but the R5 was electronic. The R6 was mechanical. And they come out with the R6.2 like the next year, and it had a 1/2000 shutter, to where the R6 I had a 1/1000 shutter. That was the only difference between them. But this R8's basically a pro camera. It has a 1/8000 shutter. Of course, it has synced flash. It has all the stuff. There's a bunch of contacts on the bottom for something. I guess you can put a battery grip on it. I've never seen a battery grip for them. It's got, like on the back here, you can set the ISO manually if the DX coding doesn't work, and it has 2 timers. You can set it for a 2-second self-timer for shutter shock, or camera vibration, and then it has a 12-second timer for taking selfies. But yeah, dude, this thing is epic. It has 3 metering modes on the front right here, so you can actually change them. You just kind of push the button in with your finger and slide through them. It has spot, and then it has center weighted and full frame metering. And then over here, it's supposed to have another lever, and mine's broken. That's why I got such a good deal in this camera. There used to be a little throw lever here that would go over this button, and that throw lever would set it for double exposure mode. It wouldn't allow it to advance the film between frames. So you'd take one photo and then recock the shutter, and the film wouldn't advance. And then you'd fire it again, and I'm assuming at that point you would unlock this thing, or it would self-unlatch or whatever, and then it would advance the film for double exposures. But it's got all kinds of cool little features on it. Yeah, there's your flash sync port. It's all sorts of cool stuff. I really like the camera. It's big and bulky, but it's cool, you know. John Traverna says, where is the Nikon icon posted? I am going to give you the hookup right there. It's in the chat. That link is where it's at. It's at Digital Camera World website, and it's in there. It's under the popular tab. I went to their website to look up the Z9 shutter, or the Z9 firmware update information, and found a bunch of stuff there. So that's where I got it. Looks like not Leica bulked up the size next to the pentaprism. Yeah, what they've done is once you handle it, you understand why all these weird angles are here. That bevel on this side is to clear your hand for the aperture and focus. Your hand just lays there. It clears perfectly. It's kind of hard to see it, but when you got the camera sitting in your hand, your thumb, this comes up and fits perfectly into that gap where that bevel is. It's just kind of, you can see why they put that bevel there. It clears your hand. And then on this side, you've got a big thumb rest on the back right there. Yeah, that big huge thumb rest. And then this bevel on the front, you can see it drops in. Your fingers just grab it. And then, of course, you'll unlock the advanced lever, and your thumb just sits under there perfectly. It's like your hand just fits the camera. It's just so comfortable to shoot with. But it is R-mount, so you have to have R-mount lenses. I have a few. I've got a 135, the 50. I don't think any of them but my 50 actually fit this camera, though. That's the Achilles heel to the R cameras. There's like 5 generations of lenses, and the newer the body gets, the less of those older generations will fit it. Mine only takes what is known as, I think, R only, and maybe version 3, Gen 3 lenses. I don't remember. I know the R only fits it, but they got a 3 cam, and then an R only doesn't have the first 2 cams, and it only does the most current. And then they've got one version newer than this that has electronics in it, I think. Yeah, this one don't have any electronics in it. It's a manual lens. But they've got one that's got like EXIF data and stuff. One of the very newest R lenses are chipped, kind of like the M lenses. And yeah, that's kind of the Achilles heel of the R series cameras, is you can quickly buy lenses that don't fit your camera, even though they're both R mount, and they'll potentially damage the camera. So you don't want to just stick a 2 cam lens on this camera. It's not a good idea. It probably is going to break it. Let's see. Hassan says, I was asking Hassan, I'm trying to maintain about 3 conversations here. I was asking Hassan about, with this camera as a prop, which was it that they just didn't have functionality, or was it physical controls? And he says, yep, external controls and easy to use menu settings that allow more efficient external control use. That applies to more than just photography, my friend. Let's see, where is it at? There is a tiny little ham radio lingering around in this room. Let's see, is it in here? Yep, here we go. This is a perfect example of that. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. In that, both of these are what is known as QRP radios. They're both 5-watt radios. All right. This one has a touch screen. This is a touch screen. Super fancy. These knobs are also push buttons. You push them in and they actuate. All 3 of them. The VFO doesn't, but all 3 of these buttons they have like subordinate menus. You push it and it activates a secondary menu, and you can do things like that. This gets to be almost too much. I do Morse code. To give that analogy, this little radio was designed by a ham radio operator who likes to do Morse code on the air. And the reason I know that is literally every button or knob on this radio is what I use when I do Morse code on the air, and nothing else. Literally, you have a volume knob for your headphones, RF gain, which is like signal limiting. It's like you would put up like if your antenna was adjustable in size if you can imagine it that way. You can make your antenna smaller or bigger so you have more signal or less coming into the radio. That's what this knob does. Transmitter power, how much you transmit out with, you can adjust that. And then this keyer is how fast your Morse code key sends its characters. And that's, you don't realize how much you change that until you do it. These little parks on the air things. On this radio, you can do that too. I have it assigned to this knob. But to do RF gain and volume, it's the same knob. I have to push it in, do the RF gain, push it again, go back to volume. It's just not as convenient. This little radio is way more convenient than this super expensive one. So I end up using this little one a lot more than this one. I use this one, but this one I use way more because it has all the knobs, like Hassan said, for his Sony that he needs, that are on the outside of the camera for him, the radio for me. And I completely understand where he's coming from based on that analogy. Everything you need and nothing you don't. And if it don't have, like, the keyer speed's a bigger deal to me than people think it is. Because I've got other radios that don't have a external keyer speed knob. The Elecraft K1 that's right there behind it, it has 2 buttons. You push the buttons, like every time you click it, it adds 1 or subtracts 1 depending on which way you hit the buttons. That's kind of frustrating. I wish you had a knob where I could just slow it down some. It's convenient. You get used to having those kind of features. It makes a big difference. Let's see. Get back on task here. The hat is in the house. How you doing tonight? Thank you for stopping by. Glad you could make the stream. Let's see. Good trip away. We're going to show the hat what it looked like while I was there. Let me just bail out of this. Go up here a little ways. Yeah. Let's see. Is this one any count? Let's go to JPEGs. JPEGs load faster. Yeah. Let's see. You see these special garments they're wearing? The raincoat you see here, and you see how the water's all in the road? That's because it had just quit raining. Let me see. Let me back up here a little bit and get past all these motion blur photos where I was experimenting. I love to do this when I've got time, because what I'm trying to do is get the hover car. And I got it in one of these photos. I think it was this one. Yeah, the car, the tires are completely erased. I love to do these photos. I just think it's cool. But, bail up, back up. Oh, no, here's where the hover car is. Yeah, it's right here. Is it this one or this one? I think it's this one. That's a Toyota pickup truck. Yeah, there's a long story about the same photo over and over and over. Here you go. See the rain? See how it's just coming down in like sheets? Look at that. Let's see. If I bring up the clarity, does it make it? Yeah. Look at all that rain. Dude, it's just the whole time we was there. This is Hilo, Hawaii. And that's what it did the whole time. We just finally, after about 4 or 5 days, we just embraced it and just started getting in the rain. But, you're still in Hawaii, so it's not a bad day. But, yeah, it rained the whole trip. And, I mean, like that much nonstop. It was the rainy season, we found out. And, yeah, night and day. It would stop for maybe 5 minutes, and then the next wave would come in. It was continuous pretty much. It was crazy. Let's see. Doing well. I'm the odd man out, I guess. I like big, heavy cameras. Huh? I ain't scared of a big, heavy camera. The SL2 ain't no lightweight. I carry it fairly regularly. Of course, tonight it's doing video duty. And it's kind of cute. It's got a battery in it, but to keep the battery from going dead, I have it plugged into this USB power pack. And this is powering the camera directly through the USB charge port. So the camera won't go dead while we stream. I tested it the other day before I streamed. I hooked it up, turned on OBS, and let it run for like 4 straight hours, and it lost like 12% on the power pack. So the video functionality worked great. So that's when I went ahead and streamed with it the other day. The only reason I'm streaming with it other than my Z50 is because it's still built into the streaming rig, and the Z50 is currently wearing the 500 where I was shooting wildlife with it. Let's see. The hat says, nah, you're not the odd one. I rather like a good, solid, chunky camera. My favorite at the moment is still my Nikon, my Nikkormat EL. Dude, that is a beast. I have one of those in the living room. Mine's beat up. I think it still functions. Somebody dropped it and broke the pentaprism cover off of it. The pentaprism works because when you look through it, it's fine. You can see right through the lens. So that's still there, but the cover's damaged, and they've put electrical tape over it to seal it, so there's no light leaks. But it's a monster. The shutter still fires. I think it probably needs the door seals replaced. You know how the felt goes bad around the door over time. But that's a beast of a camera. I need a battery grip for the XT2. A little extra running time when shooting video would be really useful. I agree. I had the XT3 and I ran the battery grip from day one. For me, the camera is just too small without it. It's really like the Z50 needs a grip. Whether it's a battery grip or a grip extension, I can't get my little finger on that little Z50. I just cope with it, but I wished it had like a bolt-on bottom plate or something that had an extra grip. They probably make one. I just haven't really looked. I would like a battery grip to go on it. That'd be cool. The little tiny Z50 with a battery grip. Surely I could figure that out. It shouldn't be that complicated. I've bought that little module that converts it to a power cord. That's my false battery I could bolt into the grip. But yeah. Let's see here. I'm in agreement on the sensible controls though. I play keyboard and much prefer my old analog synthesizers with proper controls rather than buttons. Yeah, buttons and menus ain't cool. They really, sometimes, if you got set and forget functions, that's one thing, but diving menus on the regular is frustrating. And that's something I do like that Leica did. The CL's in the truck and this one's being used, or I'd show you. They have a quick access menu. When you hit the menu button, it brings up this interactive like pictogram style menu function, and it shows you like ISO and shutter speed and exposure compensation and all of that. And they're all touch buttons, and then they have a slider to make adjustments, and then it has like a bunch of other functions, like you can pick white balance and all that stuff in there, and it's like a quick menu. And then it goes to the set and forget menu functions, like if you want to go in there and set the video frame rate. That's in a video operation and you don't change that often, so you don't need that quick menu function for that. But yeah, I like that about it, and I use that functionality a fair amount. It just kind of seems to be convenient. I've got all the main controls mapped to the outside that I can get to, but there's a few functions in there, like the white balance. I'll change that sometimes if I'm indoors and there's a lot of yellow light. I'll do the eyedropper. I'll take a picture of the wall or whatever and get me a white balance reference measurement for indoors. I use that a fair amount, but yeah, it has its uses. But yeah, I would prefer there to be external controls. Analog controls would be even better. Yeah, Hassan says, I don't mind a little chunk in my camera's junk. As long as, it took off on me. As long as it had usability and thoughtful controls. That's something I've always been really, really good to see with Nikon and Canon primarily. Leica is real ergonomic. Like I was saying, that when you look at this camera, it looks kind of goofy. It really does. It just it looks unconventional. When you see something like this little Minolta X700, this looks like a typical camera. It just has the look. It's kind of squarish. The lens protrudes from the front, has a pentaprism. And this camera takes really good photos. This one just don't look like that. It's just this weird shape. But when you put your hand, you run your fingers around the strap, you pop that out and you put your fingers in there and then you grab the lens and you realize immediately why all those weird angles are where they are. And you're like, wow, they really thought this through. It was well thought out. Everything is right where it needs to be. And Nikon's the same way. That's something I've always liked about Nikon cameras is the location of the buttons are universally in the right place with about every DSLR I've used from them. They've all had the buttons are just natural. And I really like the on-off button on the shutter because then you can just be carrying the camera, and if you ain't shooting and you're just kind of just walking with it, you can just you flick it off with your finger. And then when you go to take a photo, you flick it on. And my D810 booted so fast, by the time I flicked it on and raised it to my eye, it was ready to shoot. So I know the newer ones have got to be faster. The SL2 is kind of slow, so I leave it on. It's just the way it is. Let me see. Hassan says, I don't mind. Okay, we read that one. C2C says, getting hit pretty hard right now with severe weather. Welcome to Texas, though. Woo, yeah. Bass Angler. And Bass Angler says, same here in Arkansas, because he's storm watching tonight, and he's a storm chaser. So if Bass Angler dips out, he's probably chasing a tornado nearby. The hat says you have to grab a coat and sally forth. Wish I knew what that meant. I'm going to have to Google that in a little bit. The hat says getting up at 6 a.m. to work to the bus stop in the middle of the winter really did get irritating after a while. Woo! Yeah, I bet it did. That don't sound fun at all. The D500 and the 500 phase Fresnel balance like a sniper rifle. Bass Angler's got a lot of firearm references going on tonight. I wonder if there's something going on in his life we need to know about. John Traverna says, I want a Nikon map for black and white. And he's saying that to the hat. I love them. I prefer the EL, but I have an FT3 as a second body for when the weather is less suited to anything with a electronically triggered shutter. Wow. That's cool. Yeah, that EL's full mechanical. Hey, John, shoot me an email at georgiaphotog@gmail.com. I may be able to hook you up if you don't mind, if you can live with one that isn't cosmetically perfect. Because like I said, this one's just sitting in the living room as decoration. I'm not shooting with it. If you're actually going to take photos, we can probably work something out. Let's see. C2C Disciple says, what multi-tool and Kydex sheath you running with? Now, back to cameras. All right. I got up and y'all saw it. Okay. The tool is the Leatherman Free P4. The reason I like the Free is it uses magnets to hold it shut. So once you pop it apart, they just free swing. And it's easy to... you can work it one-handed real easy, and it pops around and it locks shut. But it's because they've got two magnets right here at the back in this little corner and right there, and then magnets stick together and it won't come loose. It has a belt or a pocket clip built into the Leatherman, but I find it's too thick for me to stick in my pocket. I tried that, and to carry it like you would a folding knife, it's just too much knife. It's too thick. So I went down and made this myself, because it come with a ballistic nylon pouch with a little snap lid, and the snap lid wore out and broke off, so I had no way of keeping it from falling off my belt. So I looked at how it was made, and I looked at how I extract it and how I use it, and so I made it to where it locks in actually on this belt clip, but from the outside instead of the inside. But yeah, Kydex is easy to thermal form in the oven. And once you do it a little bit, and I bought a bunch of these rivets and stuff from a company called knifekits.com. I've made a bunch of this Kydex gear like this. But yeah, it just snaps in. It don't fall out. It's riding right there on the edge. You want to get the release to where you can, it doesn't take but just so much force, but yeah, it won't fall out. I'm big on Kydex. It's real convenient. Bass Angler says, nah, nothing unusual need to talk about, just a gun nut. LOL. But aren't most of us? The hat says, the EL is mechanical, but without the battery in it, it only fires at, he says 1/90th, he thinks. Maybe it's 125th. He's not real certain. Basically, it has a default shutter speed if the battery goes dead, so you can continue to use it, is what he's saying. And I guess since it locks the shutter speed, you would have to control the light with the aperture at that point. You just have to stop it down or open it up more to get a good exposure. And since the battery would be dead, you wouldn't have the light meter in it. So you'd probably need the Sunny 16 rule, which is what? The shutter speed, f16, and the ISO is inverse with the shutter speed. Isn't that how that works? So you'd need 125 speed film, ISO 125, and 1/125th of a second, and f16. I think that's how that works. The internet is your friend. You can Google that crap super easy. The Sunny 16 rule. And it ain't perfect, but it'll get you exposures that you can actually work with. You won't be broke down, in other words. The hat says, people talk about Zeniths being solid, but they have nothing on the FT3. The FT3 is entirely mechanical and built like an absolute tank. Yeah, I don't think mine, I think mine is the EL like yours. Cool, like a butterfly knife with the loosey-goosey. Nice job on the sheath. Thank you. Yeah. Like I said, it was made basically out of need, and I just wanted to keep the footprint as small as possible. And like I said, it had the nylon sheath, and I liked it. But it had this deal where it was like a round button with a hole through it and a plunger that it snapped on, and that little plunger tore off of the nylon. And then it wouldn't latch no more. And the sides of the sheath had like elastic in them so that it would hold tension on it, and that elastic stretched out. Dang it, I got something in my eye. And that elastic stretched out really fast, like within like 2 months. It was just real sloppy. So yeah, the sheath was a fail, and the Leatherman's great. What I like about it is the knives are on the outside, and they're one-handed operation, and they're lock blades. It's got this little latch right here. That's the lock. As you can see, I can release it from either side, and you know, without it, it won't release. They full lock, and all of the external tools, including the little scissors, lock on the outside. You use them scissors more than you think you would. I've used the screwdrivers, the bottle opener, Coca-Cola. You buy Mexican Cokes at the Mexican restaurant. They don't screw top. You need a bottle opener. It's got a file and crap, you know, and all the usual stuff. There's a can opener. I've used that can opener camping. It's got a saw, you know. I don't remember what I cut the saw. I think I pruned my apple trees last year with it. That's where that sap came from. And of course, it has a serrated blade. But there's no tools on the inside. And that way they can radius the handles, and it's nice and comfortable. It doesn't hurt your hand. It has replaceable jaws, like all their pliers do now. But yeah, I like this one. Once I used one of these a little bit, it's real intuitive. Let's see. The EL is a tank too. Yeah, it's a monster. It's a huge camera. Thanks. I won't be shooting a lot of film. It'd be a more deliberate meditative practice. That is exactly what this camera is for. Same exact reason. I feel it. I'm probably going to shoot with that one tomorrow, actually. Might take this one just for funsies. But, man, this thing is light compared to that one. That plastic is so light. This is a nice little camera. Back in the 80s and early 90s, I would have loved to have had one of these made by Canon. All of mine were made typically by Kodak or Polaroid made a little 35 millimeter Instamatic that I use. What was the other one? I didn't have a Fujifilm. They were pretty nice cameras too, but there was a bunch of those. I don't remember. There was another camera brand that was pretty common that made the little plastic 35 millimeter instant cameras or point and shoots. And I don't remember what it was. We used them a lot, but we never had anything made by the big three back then. Let's see. Always keep a roll in it, you know. This one is currently loaded with Ilford HP5 because I have like 20 rolls of that stuff. Probably still have 14 in the refrigerator. But yeah, this little one doesn't have any in it because like I said, I just got it batteried up and got that roll out for the family from the gentleman that passed away. I just haven't reloaded it yet. I'd go for either a FTN or FT3 in that case. FTN is a pre-AI mount. The FT3 is AI. Both are gorgeous. I need to rebuild my FTN at some point. It's in the repair queue along with the 4 Spotmatics, which I've ended up with for some reason. Dude, Spotmatics are epic. And Stiff Breeze and that cannon will blow away. Yeah, that's why it's got this strap on it so you can tie it to yourself. Yeah, I can't let Bass Angler use it this weekend. Well, and you are talking about lens mounting. But you won't have open aperture metering. If you want to mainly use AI, I'd go with FD3. Oh, wow. But yeah. Let's see. How long have we been running? Hour and 7 minutes. That was a quick 1 hour, guys. That happened fast. Let's see. Are they still on the radio?
I hate to talk and run, but let's go ahead and check out. Let you guys have it. Y'all have it.
That's the Dade County Aries net. It started at 8 and it's been running for 40 minutes now. I'm having issues with muscles in my shoulders and back, like spontaneously tensing, and I don't know why. They won't stop. I ain't figured it out yet. I think it has to do with stress. If you just want to know the truth. Time flies when you're having fun. I used to shoot a lot of black and white. Shot a lot at the Seattle Japanese Garden and the Arboretum here in Seattle. Interesting. Yeah, I have not bought color film in several years now. Last color film I bought was Kodak Gold, I think, 200 speed. I don't even remember what all I shot with it, but I have shot black and white. I shot some. Let's see, is there a roll in this camera right now? I don't think so. Oh, it shows it's on frame 5. I don't know. I'll have to go in the dark and see if this has actually got a roll of film in it, because there's no indicator that shows me. I'm pretty sure it don't. It says it's off. Okay. Has it got battery voltage? Yeah. Meter came on. Okay. So the battery's hot. It might have a roll of film in it. Like I said, it's on frame 5. What I'll do is go in here in the dark and I'll open the back. And then I'll look and see. I don't remember how to. Yeah, I do. But yeah, if I do it in the absolute dark, I should not lose my frame positioning. I might lose one photo where it advances or something, but yeah. I don't even know if there's a roll of film in it. It doesn't have the card. I usually put the card in the back pane, and there ain't no card in it currently, so Maybe I just fired a bunch of frames and didn't think about that. You make a good point. Now I don't know if it's got film in it or not. I think I hear rain outside again. Man, it's just been coming down. It's been crazy. Hey, I'm going to jump in here. Let's hear. Nature shots on black and white are superb. One that's worth a go is Ilford Ortho 80. No red light sensitivity, so natural scenes look quite dramatic. Very good for autumn shoots. Is that, so that would be like the opposite of like aerochrome, wouldn't it? Because aerochrome turns greens into reds. Some kind of weird function like that. And Grainy Days has been shooting some kind of a reissue from a third-party manufacturer of an aerochrome kind of film. So now it's done become the film camera geekery group in the chat. You guys are having way too much fun. The aerochrome looks like it would be fun, but you have to think about what you're going to be photographing with it before you use it, because you need a lot of green in the photo. Green living plants, it seems to be that, like, green paint won't really do it, but green, excuse me, chlorophyll seems to make it do that turn red thing, and it looks awesome. He does some really interesting photos of that. But yeah, I'll look that up and see if I can grab some of that Ortho 80 and see what it looks like. I normally shoot like cityscapes, architecture, urban decay, abandonment sort of photos, evidence of humans, but no humans most of the time. That's the kind of stuff I normally end up getting. Whatever that is, it must be one of my eyelashes trying to get in my eye, because this thing, it just keeps bugging me. All right. Yep, much the opposite of aerochrome. It's well worth a look. Cool. I will. We'll write that on my notepad. Let me move this giant, heavy camera out of the way. That's here. Ilford Ortho 80. Got it. Let's see. Is there anything else? No. We talked about all that last week. How I got photos of like just various stuff. It's like, there's all sorts of stuff to photograph in Hawaii. You got stuff like that, and and then there's maybe this. What this is the steam vents at Kilauea Volcano. It's just across this field, steam boiling out of the ground for no reason. Yeah. See? Coming out behind the cars. That's the Kilauea caldera. Let's see. Get too crazy with that. It's hard to pull that out. Oh. Woo! You can blow out the whites. Look at that. This would be one of those photos where I would create a layer and select everything based on luminosity, create a luminosity mask. You get the idea. Guess URLs don't link. Looking for the link. I don't see it. Oh. She needs her spot, don't she? Oh. The soggy girl cat just came in. There you go, kitty. Oh, really? Look at her. All right. We'll switch back over. Let me update the chat. So did you get the URL to work? See, look. Let's see. See the cat? There. She came in to draw off. She routinely sleeps right there while I work radios a lot of times. Yeah, I mean, Hassan says I need to get more into editing, I guess. Just not really into it. I like minimal processing. I like minimal processing too, but sometimes, like what the deal was, let me just jump back over to this photo. This photo here, the difference is with this one, what I saw and what this is not the same. And what I'm trying to get at, let me reset this block. Let me go down here to the, let's see here, one of these. You can get rid of this one right now. You can compress them or collapse them. There you go. Ah, there we go. Tone curve. Let's see if this will do what I want. Usually you can get a tone curve to give you what you're after. So what I'm trying to do is darken the ground. That's too much highlight. See how it's flattened? I need to break it back in. Huh. That helps some of it. But what I'm trying to do is separate the crusted lava from the smoke. And it's hard to do some of these. I mean, you get a bunch of clarity. The clarity helps. You know, it's going to introduce some noise, but it does help. The vibrance doesn't do much. The haze will help some. If you and the dynamic contrast, maybe the regular contrast will do what I'm after. Yeah, the regular contrast help. But what you want, that's what I was looking for pretty much. You know, it's got this vignetting going on now, but it looks pretty good. But I'm just using 4 or 5 tools most of the time. Unless it's something really special, I will take pictures of literally anything. You don't know anybody like that, do you? Who'll just snap photos of the water running down the rain gutter. And take a bunch of pictures of that, apparently. There's another picture of it, trying to get the splashing water dripping in it. Yeah. Teresa waiting in line. A car going by. Yeah. Yeah. Y'all don't know anybody like that, do you? I mean, surely y'all don't do that, do you? Just take random photos of crap as you're going down the street. My cat is a ham as well. I tried to post my old Flickr account. Oh, okay. All right. I did not ban inserting links into the chat, so it should work if you just want to know the truth. Yeah, I don't see anything that would prevent it from working. Oh, it's got timestamps. That's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah. No, I just turned on the timestamps. That's kind of handy. I wish I'd have known those were there all along if you just want to know the truth. Tried to post it. It was a black and white I did. Didn't mean to disrupt the chat. You didn't hurt nothing, dude. It's kind of why we're here, to talk. I need to get more into editing. Random photos of crap. No, not me. I definitely don't have 4 photos of a tin of pasta salad in a deli window on black and white film where it was expensive to take the pictures. Not me. Well, girl, are you happy now? You trying to draw off? Yeah, she's done moved over to this corner now. But yeah, that's interesting. That That's a good one, Hat. So what do you guys think about video subjects of basically, whoops, I bumped the boom with the camera on it. The mic is telescoped off of the camera mount boom, so if I bump this, you get that. So I have to be real careful and not touch the mic, as it'll make the camera do that. But what do you guys think about me doing less review videos and more like small town exploration videos, like where I go to these locals, like, or even maybe even further away than local, but little small towns, explore them and do a video about them, like I did Stevenson, Alabama, and I did Bridgeport and Ider and Trenton. Of course, I live in Trenton, but I don't know where to take the channel, and I'm just going to get you guys to give me some input on that. And the ones that are watching it after, if you stuck around 1 hour and 20 minutes into this stream and you're here, leave me a comment, let me know, because it gives me notifications and I know it when you comment. Hassan says he likes the small town videos. Bass Angler says that would be cool. Good, because I'm trying to figure out something for the theme to kind of be for 23, and I really haven't come up with anything. And I did my little photo trip to Hawaii, and I shared my photos, the ones I really kind of liked. I shared them last week on the stream with you guys. I haven't really edited them yet. I normally I've gotten to where I like to let my photos soak a little bit. I'll take the photos, come home, download them, save them to the hard drive, and then leave them be for a week or two. And then I'll go back and I'll do my edits, and I'll flag the edits with I'll make them, all the edits will be 5-star. And then that way I can sort it by star count, and I can just see the ones I edited. Because I'll go through the whole thing, and then, and if I find one I like, I'll do an edit, make it 5 stars, move on, and just keep kind of going through them. And then I'll go back, like a couple days later, look at those edits and see if I over-edited. Like that one of the Caldera where I was just getting crazy with it, trying to make the smoke separate from the lava. You have pitch flat black lava and white smoke. Two worst possible things to contrast against each other. You'd think it'd be the best, but it's like the worst. But plus the haze in between you and the lava doesn't help. Anyway, after a couple of days, I'll go back through and I'll review my edits and maybe tweak them, maybe pull them back a little, because sometimes I get a little overzealous with the edits. And then maybe let them set another hour or two and give them another look, or export them at that point, depending on what I like. And then archive everything else from there and move on. But I'm just trying to figure out what should be the theme for 23, For 22, it kind of was just me figuring out what I wanted to do. Excuse me. John says he likes a small town when I do the nature shoots. Excuse me. Got choked on water of all things. But okay, I haven't done much nature stuff in the last year. Bass Angler says he's just happy to have a live stream. Well, I appreciate that. I like doing the live streams. Live streams are a lot of fun. And I finally kind of got a system built, and I have a decent enough internet connection to where I can do a stream. Up till just recently, I didn't really have a way of doing one effectively. I tried, but it just never really worked. Oh, well. Whew. Wow. And I wound up going down to Trenton and using my smartphone to do my streams. And if one person called me during the stream, the phone call would lock down the streaming software from YouTube, and it would just kill it. So I couldn't prevent, I was just kind of throwing the dice. It was just really, really treacherous. And so now I can at least have a live stream and get a phone call, and it doesn't crash it. But yeah, All right, well, great. I thank you for the input, guys. Yeah, we're an hour and a half into this stream, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up and sign off. And go in here and see what Teresa's doing. It sounds like she's listening to Dallas Jenkins talk about The Chosen, which is one of our all-time favorite TV shows ever in the history of ever. So until next time, guys, get your camera out, no matter what kind it is, and go take a picture with it. And I really appreciate you guys joining me tonight. It's been a lot of fun. There hasn't been a lot of us here tonight. There's been a few drop in and out, but I think there's been about 5 or 6 that stuck around all the way to the end, and I really appreciate you guys for doing that. I really do. It means a lot to me. 73 is to you too, Bass Angler. Technically, I should be telling you 72, which is the QRP salutation. Later, Dave. The Chosen is awesome. Thank you. And yeah, it is. I am super addicted to it. I really do enjoy the streams and the walk-arounds and the vintage lens reviews and all the bells of my geekery. Oh, okay. I'm thinking about doing some recycled lens reviews, if that makes sense. Get out some of my favorite old lenses that I haven't used in a while. Shoot them on like the SL2. Do a new review in, modern times, whatever, with my better skills, if you would call it that, as far as that kind of goes. Hi, Albert jumped in right as I was about to shut it down. 9 o'clock, huh? So that's when you can make it. But yeah, that's something I've thought about doing as well. Like the 105 f2 DC. That video gets a lot of traction, but I get a lot of questions because the original video that I did with that lens, I didn't shoot a human with it. I shot a stuffed animal, and people complain because I didn't use a live model. And I have access to people I could use for that. That day I was kind of by myself, and I just used that stuffed animal. So I thought I could redo the video, shoot a live model with it, and do a photo shoot and get some stunning photos. That 105 takes incredible portraits. But, that one, the 28 millimeter Tacomer, I got several of them Tacomer lenses, the 58 millimeter f1.2 Canon, and just make new lens reviews of those old lenses because I've learned things since I did them the first time, and kind of just make an update, you might call it, or a new review of a vintage lens, knowing what I know now. But yeah, okay. Now that I've told y'all all my secrets, I think I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'll talk to you guys later. So until next time, like I said earlier, get your camera out and go take a picture with it. All right. We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.